tackling some myths. And I think the biggest one is spot training. I think a lot of women think, oh, I have to focus on my core to get rid of my excess belly fat.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite work that way.
No, it doesn't. Like especially when you're speaking the lines of losing fat, there's no such thing as so you can't like yeah, you'll tone it if you do like 100 sit-ups a day, you'll tone your abs, but and just sure if you're working out, you'd be burning calories, but your fats in layers. So when you burn fat, you're burning in layers, so certain parts of our body or midsection or thighs or butts carry more fat. So when you start losing fat, you notice it in other areas first. You notice in your arms first and other places. Where you have the most fat will take the longest to come off to melt out, but that's where it has the most layers. So fat, so like I said, fat comes off in layers. So if you can do 100 sit-ups a day and you'll tone. And the fact that you do 100 sit-ups a day, you're not just burning fat in the air because you do 100 sit-ups a day. You're burning because you're actually working out. You're burning calories, and then you're going to tone it. But then until you shed the fat, you won't. You're not going to see the muscles until you lean down. But yeah, so spot training as far as burning fat or losing fat in certain places, not really.
Yeah. If it only were that easy, right?
Yeah, but like I say, you're burning the calories by doing if you wouldn't do 100 sit-ups a day, you're burning calories and you're building muscle tissue. Which more muscle tissue you have, the more fat you burn, the faster your metabolism. So it works that way, but you're not just melting fat in that area, nowhere else. It's coming off in layers. The spot training as
layers
far as
of fat.
So sad. But it's true. But like even with myself, like when since I'm in my 50s and going through menopause, I've gained when I gain weight, I've gained a lot more fat in my belly, in my midsection. I also have weight, I can lose weight if I'm being strict and disciplined. I can lose weight fairly easily too, but it also comes on easy. So I have to really watch what I eat.
Yes. Yeah, it's that 70% in the kitchen, right?
Yeah, more like 80%, but well, it's true. Well, it starts in the kitchen. There's no getting away from that.
No.
You gotta have a clean, healthy diet, but don't restrict yourself. Like everything in moderation. Like don't think, oh, I'm never going to eat like chocolate ever again. Don't deprive yourself, but then you just set yourself for failure, and then you just end up binging.
Yes.
So just everything in moderation. Have that, few glasses of wine a week if you want to.
Yeah. Plan for it.
Yeah.
Plan it in.
Yeah, I know. If you want to keep it strict during the week, if you want to go, which is great, then have yourself a cheat on the weekend. And the cheat doesn't have to be junk food. If you don't like eating junk food, then just have more calories of whatever food you enjoy, more of it. But so having that balance, like it's different when competing as a bodybuilder. The diet has to be strict. Like there's no, you can indulge in a chocolate. There's none of that. But that's different. That's the sport. That's competitive. That's completely different. But as a day, as a normal living. Having a balance and just moderation, just don't overindulge in things that are good for you. Get all the healthy foods in first, and then you're not craving the junk food so much.
And remember to drink that water.
Oh yes, that's the thing. Lots of water.
Yeah. Well, we're setting a good example here.
Yeah. Water does so many things for the body. Helps metabolize your food. Clean out your toxins. Helps metabolize your fats. And it helps to keep you feel full too. So then you don't want to eat as much. It helps regulate your blood sugar, all that good stuff. So yeah, water is important.
Another thing that a lot of women, especially I think the more advanced exercisers might hear and worry about is this idea that elite level or super intense workouts on a consistent basis are actually detrimental for women in menopause. What's your take on that?
Not really, because if you look at it, there's a lot of like elite athletes out there, like women still competing in the 50s into the 60s, and training is strenuous, whether you're long distance runner or power lifter, whatever. Yeah, so you're going to be training intense because that's what you got to do to train for your sport. So it's not that you have to know what you're doing. So it's about having, you train like athletes. So we know to train, like, you have your hard training session, but then you also have your recovery. And recovery is just, letting the body rest, getting you good nutrition in, so all that kind of balance to it. Otherwise, nobody would work. You wouldn't have athletes out there if it was detrimental to everybody. But you know how to do that recovery afterwards.
Yeah, I think the idea that intense exercise is a stress. It's a good stress, but it does release cortisol. And I think that's where that link was made. Well, if you're doing strenuous exercise, you're just spiking up your cortisol, which feeds that belly fat.
Well, yeah, but again, it's not just that simple. Like I say, like I fed my cortisone for years, like with my intense training. Those elite athletes, like, that's what we do. But it's the recovery, having the right balance of nutrition and the recovery afterwards, and let your body rest and repair and that. So no, I mean, it's otherwise you have no athletes if that was the case. Nobody be doing anything if they were worried about the cortisol level.
Exactly. I think that's the issue sometimes with scientific research, which, by the way, for menopausal women is minuscule. Very little work done. I think it's only starting now, really, the research into the relationship of exercise on menopausal women. But I think when you take those results in isolation, that's when you get those verdicts. If you are conscious about that, and as you say, work in your recovery and make sure you eat right away after exercise, then you'll replenish your body stores, right?
Yeah. And also going back to the cortisol level, yes, if your cortisol level is high for long periods of time, yes, it can have health issues and body fat, but that's not just, they're saying, that report, like if you train intensely, well, that's not the only thing that raises cortisol level. I said, any athlete trained intensely, you're eating properly afterwards and you're having that recovery, so that, brings it back down. But you could have, like, certain health issues can cause your cortisol level to go high and stay high, so that could become dangerous. So it's not about because you did an intense workout, you could have other health issues going on. So you can't put everybody in the same category.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that you mentioned it, what is a good recovery meal, and when should we get it after exercise?
It's good to try and get a protein carb meal in at least 30 minutes after your workout. So you want to replenish your glycogen stores. So I was also good to try and get something at least 30 minutes after your workout. And then say if you're not going to be heading home right away, you have something with you, even if it's an apple, banana, or something, or a protein shake. But yeah, it's good at least 30 minutes after your workout to start replenishing.
That sounds good. And sometimes it takes a bit of planning. That's the other thing, that especially if you're on the go.
Well, that's the thing. Like with eating properly, it takes planning. Like, it's actually, that's why a lot of people have a hard time, because it does take work. You got to think about what you want to eat. You got to, prepare it and make sure it's ready. Because if it's time to eat and you don't have anything ready, then you mess up your metabolism. You can end up, you get too hungry, so then you end up, reaching for the, the bad foods instead of the good foods. So it is planning. It takes time, but you just got to commit to it. If you're going to work out, say you're going to work out after work, and you're not going to get home for a while, have something with you that you can eat, on your way home. If you're not, you're not going to be home in 30 minutes or something. So it's planning. You got to plan. And don't try to be perfect. Even like, well, me, I separate when I was competing because it was just a different mindset. You just did what you did. You got your meals, you ate on time. But maybe even like now after competing, like sometimes I know I don't have a meal. Sometimes I forget to eat, or someone get busy doing something, and they're like, "Oh, why am I hungry?" I look at them, "Oh, I haven't eaten in 5 hours." So don't, you're not always going to be perfect, and don't beat yourself up if you're not.
Exactly. Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not every day is going to be a perfect day, but for the most part, try and keep it, good at least 80% of the time.
When you're planning your dinners,
Mhm.
to make sure you have leftovers so it can make a quick meal if you
The
need
next,
it
yeah,
the next day.
yeah, yeah. Because when I cook, I cook for like a few days at a time. But I mean, it's funny though. Like even though I'm not competing anymore, it's just I still use the same mindset. Like I think of my foods as proteins and carbs. So it's like when I eat a meal, it's like, oh, I think about how much protein's in that, or I think, yeah, proteins and carbs. That's how I think of my foods, proteins and carbs. I know your healthy fats, but and even when I go to a restaurant to order food, like I really ever order exactly off the menu. I look at the menu, see which meal has the most protein in it. And then I just order it like how I want it.
Well, I think that's so important because menopausal women need protein, right?
Well, yeah, well, I think what you need protein all the time, but it depends on what your for speaking of just fitness level, depending on your fitness level, how much tanks you work, so it depends on how much protein you need. But if you're looking to lose body fat, the more protein you have, the more fat you're going to burn. Because protein builds muscle. The more muscle tissue you have, the more fat you're going to burn. It's faster your metabolism. And again, over 50, it's the same thing. Like I said, how to get over 50, we just have to be more conscious of it. You might have to make some adjustments if you weren't exercising that much. You just have to boost it up a little bit, especially when your hormones start to fluctuate. You start getting that weight gain. You got to adjust your diet. Adjust your workouts. Increase it if you're not doing enough. So it's just you have to make adjustments. Otherwise, the body's going to do what it's going to do, but you can counterbalance it.
That's right. You're still in the driver's seat.
Yeah. I just say, yeah, you're the one in control. You don't just, sit back and say, oh, okay, I guess this is it.
I can't do anything about it. But, I mean, it's true that a lot, and I think especially previous generations of women actually believe that.
Well, yeah, well, my mom, my mom's generation, like my mom didn't believe in exercise. She thought I was gonna, you're gonna hurt yourself. When I was competing, and she see my muscles ball, she goes, "Are you afraid you're gonna burst?" So my mom was not into exercising, but that generation was like that. Like they just worked, took care of the home, took care of the family. Fitness, it wasn't a big thing not in our culture anyways, back in my parents' and grandparents' generation.
Yeah, things have changed so much since then, right?
Yeah. And then the thing that their generation too didn't have the information age like we do. So they didn't, they didn't get a lot of information on their health and what was good for them and not, that kind of stuff. Even menopause, my mom went through menopause. I don't think my mom understood she was in menopause. I recognized it when I started going into menopause. I started thinking about the stuff that she was saying, the symptoms she was going through. I go, yeah, she was in menopause. But that old-fashioned generation, she had an old-fashioned doctor, male that never talked about that stuff. And their generation, they talk about things like that. Because I remember she would be like, be talking to the phone. She goes, oh, this heat, my body's just burning up. This heat is just killing me. This heat is disgusting. At the time, I didn't know what she meant to talk about till I learned, started to learn about hot flashes and menopause. Like, oh yeah, she was going through having hot flashes, but she didn't really know what it was. She just knew her body was changing, or going through these things that she couldn't understand.
Well, I mean, we're laughing, but it's still true to this day. I mean, I did a little bit of reading before our interview, and I was shocked at how few doctors are trained, have any training in treating menopausal women, and actually very few feel competent to talk to women about menopausal symptoms and
Yeah,
how to deal with them.
yeah, and I'm sure a lot of that is the older ones too. Probably it's probably the older doctors of that generation too. 'Cause, yeah, my mom's doctor. I remember he was old. Yeah, she didn't know anything about she just know her body was changing. She's getting hot all the time, and she couldn't understand what's going on.
We did touch on muscle loss and bone loss prevention, which I think are like one of the chief areas of concerns for women in menopause.
Yes, yeah, and like I said, hormone change, estrogen level drops, muscle loss, bone loss. But like I said, that's where strength training really is really important. To build up your muscle tissue, your bone density, and that's the only way to really do it is by some form of strength training. Go for walks and hikes and all that too. But then you want to target like your overall body.
Well, you can walk and hike with hand weights or ankle weights.
Exactly.
That's a big
Yeah.
workout.
Yeah. Or even, if you want to make it more intense, like, I used to power walk with a 10-pound weighted vest on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd say, put on some ankle weight or wrist weights and just go.
Yeah. There's every exercise can be intensified, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can intensify any exercise.
How about we'll end on the one myth that stops women from strength training?
Oh, I don't want to get too big.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
When I was personal training, I used to like, women come in and they go, "Oh, I want to tone," and they go, "I don't want to lift weights. I just want to tone." I go, "Well, first of all, the only thing that you tone is your muscle. You can't tone fat. You can't tone your bones. You get, muscle." But they think, "Oh, I don't want to get," but they think, "Oh, they come to the gym and then 2 weeks, they're going to be all big. Oh, I don't want to get too big." Well, first of all, you won't. It takes a lot more than just coming to the gym and lifting weight. There's so many factors. First of all, your genetics, for one thing. There's 3 different body types: metamorph, endomorph, ectomorph. Some body types, like an ectomorph, tall, lanky, they have a hard time putting on muscle body mass. But not only that, put on body mass, even if you have the perfect body for building muscle, like I'm a metamorph, I build muscle easy. You still have to work hard. It's your diet, taking enough protein and training consistently for years.
Yeah.
So it doesn't happen like, oh, I just walk in the gym and I'm going to get big. You got to be consistent. You got to be training hard. Your intensity to training. It's not so much how much weight you lift, it's your intensity of your training and your form and how you target your muscles. So so don't be afraid to pick up a couple light dumbbells, because you want to build muscle tissue. And after building muscle tissue doesn't mean building big mass muscles. You're just increasing your muscle tissue. And by doing that, it allows you to burn more fat because it speeds up your metabolism. And if we get in our 50s, you're keeping up your bone density and your muscle tissue because you can't just let everything go. So you need to keep your muscle tissue, your bone density. You're not going to get massive. You're just strength training.
Yeah, we just
ladies,
don't have those hormones to pack on a lot of muscle, right?
No, I suppose like I say everybody's different. You can, but depend on your body type. If if I start, bodybuilding again and training hard and eating right, I'll get big again because that's just my body type. So you train as again according to your goals. If your goal is not to get big and massive, just keep it light. Just keep it more of a strength training type of workout. You can do a lot with body weight. You can do a lot with bands. And if you're home training, like if you can't get to the gym, you get a lot of good workouts with bands. Like I've got a lot of bands. I use bands for a lot of my workouts.
I did one today.
Yeah, you do just
Just about
so much
killed me.
variety. Yeah, no, you can like you get different bands, different tensions.
Yeah.
You can get a good workout. Like I've got some wicked workouts just working with bands. And it's good for traveling too. Like on the road, I'll take a couple of bands with me and do a little workout in my hotel room.
They're terrific.
They are.
Resistance and they're nothing. They
Yeah,
fit in your palm of your hand.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, so easy. But I said like just find something that you enjoy and like go online. Like there's so much like people today from back in like when I was working out or training. Today you have so much information and so many programs you can follow, and then if if you can, like, if you want, like find yourself with a good personal trainer that can help you. But yeah, just there really is no excuse. You can do something. Like there's
Absolutely.
lots of options.
It just occurred to me that there's one more crazy myth that's out there, and that is, but I can understand why it is, muscle weighs more than fat.
Pound of muscle and a pound of fat is the same weight. They're both a pound. Muscle's more dense, so it takes up less room. So you can have two people both weigh the same weight, like one's 125 pounds of muscle, one's 125 pounds mostly, fat. The one that's less muscle can look bigger than the person with more muscle.
Yeah, it's all body composition. So
exactly
another reason not to fixate on
the
what you
scale.
weigh.
Yeah.
Yes, because a 150-pound fit woman full of muscle versus a 150-pound woman not muscular looks different.
Yeah, and even like some people, like, they're trying to like lose weight and they start weight training and they think, they start, you of course, you lose weight, start losing weight in the beginning, you're doing your cardio and that, and then you find, your weight might start going up, especially if you're trying to build muscle. Oh, my weight's going up. Well, no, you're just gaining more muscle.
Exactly.
It's funny because back in the day when I was competing, like someone like, remember one time I was my height, I was like 178 off season, but I was muscular, and I had to go for an MRI. And then over the phone, they ask you information, your height and weight over the phone, and I always lie about my weight because this person doesn't have no idea what I look like. I say 5'1", 160 pounds, and I think, oh, this person is obese. So I always lie. I always take I say like, oh, I'm just 140 pounds. Because they don't know till they see me,
Right. And in the old school doctor's office, you would categorized as obese, because that's what they with your height and weight.
Wait, yeah, I think they still use that a lot of places.
Do.
Yeah, which is so wrong because it doesn't. It's your body composition, so you can't just go by height and weight. It's a person's body composition. But yeah, I was trying to find. Yeah, I always lie about my weight if they ask for my weight over the phone. Yeah, because they don't know me. They think 5'1".
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we ended on that note because I think it's a really important message for women at any age to not fixate on the scale.
Don't. And like I said, I always say, like, if you look, like, just look in the mirror, or, like, see how your clothes fit, if your clothes are looser or whatever. Yeah, don't get hung up on the scale. Don't be hopping the scale every day or, even every week. Like, just, when you've, like, I might hop on the scale twice a year. Like I know when I'm heavier than I want to be and when I'm not. But and then
your genes tell you, right?
Yeah, and then when I'm get more heavy, more into my weight training, I start putting on more muscle again, and then so yeah, just don't fixate on the scale because it doesn't give you a body composition. If you really want to know your body composition, then just go get a body fat test done. And if you want to have a better idea of like where your body's at.
Excellent. Yeah, such amazing advice. Thank you so much, Desiree. I think
you're welcome.
Tackled so many topics. I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be many hours, but you did it all.
Yeah, no, I love talking fitness. Like, even though I don't compete or personal training anymore, fitness is still a big part of me. I always will be. Like, it's just who I am. Like, fitness is,
it's in your soul.
It is. Like, I enjoy working out, and like I said, and as I get older, as we get older, it's not the time to slow down. you might slow down, but it's not time to stop. You still got to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If anything, more.
Yeah.
More is better. A
Yeah.
little bit more.
Well, yeah, exactly. Get moving. Like I said,
Yeah.
and if you don't have time for workout, just go for a walk. Just move.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We want to avoid being frail, avoid muscle loss, avoid bone loss. We want to be vigorous, right?
Yeah. And then, like I say, if you don't keep it up, if you don't, work out, that will happen.
Yes. Yes. And you want to pick up your grandchildren from a kneeling position on the floor.
Yeah. That's funny. That's also one of my motivations. Well, I mean, I'll work it anyway, but I always think too, like, I can't stop because I won't be able to, when I get my grandchildren, I have to be able to chase after them.
Exactly.
I want to be able to chase after them and play with them.
Yeah. And they're demanding.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for doing this. It was delightful and wonderful and jam-packed with information as always. And I'm always excited to have you. So I want you back.
Thanks for having me. That was fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
Bye.
That was good. Bye.